Okay, everyone. So nice to be in Northwest Arkansas and seeing some familiar faces. So thanks so much for being here. As Andy said, my name is Ron. I'm leading product for Harmonya, one of the co-founders. And we're here today to talk about the problem of product data attribution and a new product that Harmonya is launching, an AI-based platform to help you manage product data attribution in an automated fashion. You probably all know this, but there is no real one way to attribute a product. And sure, we have a lot of folks here from customer teams. You get a lot of questions coming from retailers. You need to maintain specific attributes. But when you're taking a step back and looking at it from an organizational perspective, there are many teams with different needs, and every one of these teams would probably maintain different set of attributes. Some of them are being used by all of the teams, the UPC, obviously, brand manufacturers. Some can be super specific. They came originally by something that can be a question, can be a research, can be a deck that you need to put in front of a retailer. But at the end of the day, it's not consistent. The other thing that makes it even more tricky is that, sure, so the sets of attributes can be different, but the actual way they're being labeled is different as well. So when we're talking about the taxonomy, the representation of different entities across the organization, they're just not the same. We're not saying whether it's right or wrong. We're just saying that when you're thinking about this problem for an organizational perspective, definitely the CPGs that are playing in multiple categories, this is something that you just need to acknowledge. The last one that is obviously tricky is the hierarchy or the categories. Obviously, working with retailers, you have your own hierarchy that is not necessarily the same as the retailer. One flipping between them makes it even harder. And from an attribution perspective, assigning category to products that are newly launched in the market, this is something that there is just no one right way to do. And we heard the stories about meetings in room 20 hours, deciding whether a product should go into one hierarchy or one category or the other. Just to make sure that we're aligned, obviously, when we're talking about product data attribution, it has been called in many names in the industry. So product segmentation, backfill, product coding. We aren't talking about the practice of assigning values into missing attributes. It's getting even more complicated because now CPGs have access to a lot of data sources. Each contain different sets of products, and each needs to be coded by the conventions and data schemas of the different teams. So looking at it from an organizational perspective, again, panel data, syndicated data, retailer data, it needs to be coded again and again and be added with attributes that are different teams are maintaining. This is something that is becoming a true nightmare. Now, going back to the panels that we had earlier, we're talking about this one problem that is just so painful that the level of talent, definitely in this part of the world, that knows CPGs and retail and probably the best way to generate the most sophisticated insights, identify the most granular trend, this talent needs to face with never-ending spreadsheets, and it's no fun. And definitely now with new data sources that are coming into play, it needs to be coded, and CPGs that are facing with product that they've never seen before, and they need to decide even the most simple thing. What is the brand? What is the manufacturer? But deeper than that, understand granular attributes and categories they've never played in. This is something that is a nightmare, and we honestly think that shouldn't be done the way it's being done today. Let's look at the average tier 1 CPG, and we're working with a lot of CPGs. We're talking about, an average, something like 15 attributes that are being used across the company. And now, something like 5 different teams that will maintain attribution on the same product, each one with 10 custom attributes, something like 65 attributes per product. When you're looking at all the different categories, so CPGs that are playing in more than a single categories, own portfolio and competitive products, we're talking about something like 20,000 products that needs to be attributed with 65 attributes. This is just unmanageable and unscalable to do in a manual fashion. So sure, product data attribution is painful. But the real painful thing and the real problem, and the way that Harmonia views it at least, is what we're calling custom product data attribution, addressing all the specific needs of all the different teams in the organizations that are using product data, each one for its own needs. And to do it in a scalable and manageable fashion, this is something that, again, doing it manually, eventually organizations will fail. When we thought about the problem, it was shocking to understand that there is no one platform that is available in the market that is dedicated to this practice of product data coding and attribution. Sure, there are some homegrown solutions, there are some master data management solutions that are great, but they're not tailored to attribute product data. So we felt that there is definitely a room, and you've seen it with Gina's session before. Harmonia is obviously about all the granular attributes and understanding the core characteristics of a product in the view of the consumer, associated concepts with products. But essentially, you can't escape the structured 10, 20 attributes that help you maintain your business. And we want to address that as well. Okay, so this is what it looks like in reality. You have some UPCs that you need to code. You have the attributes. Some are missing, some are not. Some are accurate, some are not. And then there's obviously the new products that are in the market that needs to be attributed from scratch. The first thing that Harmonia is going to do is to fill in the blanks. The second thing is we're going to highlight inconsistencies. Attributes that we think that are currently coded, but maybe not coded in the best way. And we're going to suggest you how to fix them. And based on that, all the data that is currently attributed, we're going to automatically build and train models that will help you predict all the new products that you need to code. For every one of the attributes, in every one of the data schemas that you're using, we're going to have a model behind the scenes that knows how to assign these values. And the only thing that we're going to use is the data that is currently coded, and I'll get to it in a second, publicly available data around these products. But the cool thing here is that for every one of the attributes, there is a model behind the scenes. This model can predict values based on your taxonomy and your coding conventions on any UPC. So if this is what it looks today, this is what it can look like with our platform, how it works. So let's say that I have 3 products and some specific sub-taxonomy that is being used by one of these teams, and these products are all soft drinks dash diets. When we're going back to the problem and thinking how you can automate it, what Harmonia is trying to do is to replicate exactly what a human would do in this process when he needs to attribute this orange product. And usually, consciously or unconsciously, what folks that are dealing with the task of product data attribution are doing is they will look at the common denominator of these products. What makes them all be soft drinks dash diet? And what are the characteristics of the new product that needs to be coded, whether it's the same or not? And we heard a lot that it's being done by just Googling the UPCs. You're taking a UPC, you're putting it in Google, you're looking at a product page, you read the title, you read the description, great. You know something about the product, you look at your own conventions of coding and your own schema, and you're trying to code the product. And this is essentially what Harmonia is doing, but in an automated fashion. So we'll start feeding the models with publicly available data on these products, usually coming from product pages, but one that was generated by the brands. So titles, and textual descriptions, and sets of ingredients, and any structured data that you can find on a product page that can help the model identify all the very specific nuances. It goes into a model. The model start identifying all these differentiators, and at the end of the day, we have a trained one. Now for that, Harmonia is using a technique that is called AutoML, Automated Machine Learning. It's basically a pipeline that runs a competition between all sorts of algorithms, machine learning algorithms, decision trees, and regressions, and neural networks, and anything you can think of, with different combinations and sets of features. So we'll look at the textual data, and sometimes we'll use all of it, sometimes we'll use parts of it, sometimes we'll use just the title, sometimes we'll use just the ingredients. We're trying automatically every different configuration. And the cool thing is that every attribute is going to have a model that is different than models of other attributes. When new data is coming in, we'll retrain the models, and then we might use a different technique. Now we need to code a new product. Great. We'll enrich the data as well. We'll put it into the model, and we'll have a prediction. And the cool thing with Harmonya is that, sure, we are doing data acquisition on an ongoing basis. We're identifying new products. We're identifying new data on existing products. Everything is being fed into the pipeline, and products are being coded again and again. Models are getting more accurate. And ultimately, you wouldn't need to do a thing. You will just be getting a data feed coming out of Harmonya, telling you that there are new products in the market. You already coded them. We already coded them, and you can go ahead and use them. Let's see how it looks in real life. Perfect. So this is our product data attribution platform. First thing that you're going to see is that we help you connect between two main things: the data schema. And when I'm saying the schema, it's not only the set of attributes, it's the taxonomy and the coding conventions as well, how these attributes are being coded within your teams. So we're going to take the schema and we're going to apply it on one of your data sources. The real cool thing here is that you can apply any schema on any data source. So if, let's say that there is another customer team that added an attribute that you would like to use, sure, you can do it. And okay, we just chose the schema of one of the key account teams and we applied it on a syndicated data source. Let's just go ahead and see what we're seeing here. This is a control panel. If you need to code something like 1.5 million attributes, where we don't expect you to do it on the Harmonya platform, but this is the platform that will allow you to do the tweaking. This is the platform that will allow you to fit the models with feedback that will help them improve over time. So the columns are obviously the attributes that are a part of your schema. The rows are all the UPC that are part of the data source that you're looking to code. Next to every one of the Harmonya predictions, you can see this color-coded dots, green, red, and yellow, the confidence level of the model behind the scenes that generated these predictions. Now, the actions that you can take will benefit a model behind the scenes and will feed him with more data that will help him improve over time. So you can validate some of the predictions. You can even re-edit some of the predictions. You can see here all the labels that are being used for a specific attribute, and you can change it completely, add new attributes. This one thing of looking at all the current label under a specific attribute and be able to use them, as simple as it sounds, and it has nothing to do with AI, it's just something that it's not so common to see in the industry and will help you keep things consistent. On the left, you can see an analytics panel that gives you a sense of the performance of the models that Harmonya generated. We're looking at accuracy, we're looking at coverage. You can see here, for example, for flavor, that we're at 87% accuracy. You can see the different distributions of all the predictions. And the reason that we're showing you that is that we want to first give you the visibility of how accurate things are, but also guide you towards the feedback that we need from your subject matter expert on some of the predictions that we generated, so models can improve in the most significant and impactful way. So let's say that we're going to look at flavor, and some of the predictions that Harmonya suggests you to go over. Great, this is pure product attribution, but instead of looking right now at the entire category and attribute it from scratch, we're just reviewing a handful of predictions that Harmonya generated to be able to help the models improve. So let's say that we are going to validate some. Maybe some of the predictions we think that there are more accurate values that we can use. And maybe there are others that we want to change completely. So we reviewed all these handful of examples. The next thing that we're going to do, and this is, again, the essence of the platform. We want to capture any action that is being taken here and any feedback on a very specific prediction and to help a model behind the scenes improve over time. So after 1 or 2 iterations, you can see that models improve. Natalie just showed you that we keep the full version history of every one of the attributes, so you know exactly what was generated as an output of a model, what was validated by one of your team members, and how, and obviously have this full lineage. And now, after we did some sort of a review, we can see all the different changes that were made, and we can initiate a retrain of all the models. Perfect. New data is flowing in, Harmonya is attributing it, predictions are being generated and integrated into your data stack. It can be a cloud environment of your choice. We will write the data there, you'll take it from there and use it any way you want. Or we can integrate directly with your Snowflakes or any other data warehouse of choice. So wrapping this up, we do acknowledge that product data attribution is something that is super painful. We think that it just deserves a new approach, and we are suggesting an alternative way that will leverage cutting-edge AI for sure, your data and publicly available data on the product to help you automate the process. There are some Harmonia folks that build the platform. Feel free to engage with them later on if you have some questions or come to me. But again, thanks so much for being here. And I think we have some time for questions.